your songwriting is like a lot of storytelling and whatnot, kind of just being who you guys are growing up in San Francisco, comfortably in Pack Heights, and then you'll sing a song kind of about maybe a woman in an abusive relationship like The Throws, or you're tackling something racially, you know, in Summer Day, you know, and I was just wondering, like, how you do that, because I know some people dig that and others do think, you know, do you have the right to say these things and whatnot? Does that make sense?
I guess so. I mean, I don't really see what it has to do with where you come from or not, you know. I mean, at least concerning those songs, I feel like just the fact, I mean, they're, to me, like, are just American stories, you know. And as a citizen of this country and a member of this culture, like, all of us have the right to have an opinion and perhaps a criticism or, you know, a story to tell about it. It doesn't have to be personal, and people put this totally different weight upon songwriting than they do upon, like, novel writing, that, like, songwriting has to be about something that you as a writer, as the songwriter, have lived or can relate to, or something about your life. But if you're writing a novel, you can really, like, totally step outside of yourself and do whatever. And not only is it like more acceptable, but it's somewhat expected at times, you know. And I don't really see the difference, you know. I feel like one can write a song about anything.
There's something on the hills, no, I gotta see, and I've been gone so long, it seems like home to me. Well, baby, I gave you all I got, and told you all I know, but you want someone I'm not, so it's time for me to go. When a sparrow needs its rest, it takes the nearest tree, and if I pass back this way, you must rely on me. But baby, let your light shine on me.
I'll just ask you a couple more questions, and I know you guys are sick of talking about it, but the whole Houston thing that obviously happened, and
I love how the question's always, like, preceded by that. I know you don't want to talk about this.
well, the angle, instead of just being like, what happened with this cop and this tasering and this and that, I was just gonna ask mainly, I guess, Tyson, because he ran off and everything.
Well, I mean, you were there in jail with me as well, that whole night. I mean, you weren't there, we were separated. It was a pretty frightening experience in some ways. I mean, you know, like, feeling like so at another's whim, basically, you know, after that whole incident. And like, sitting in jail and for, what was it, we were there for like 17 hours or something like that. And sleeping on the floor, like, still sopping wet from the show, and wearing like a skeleton shirt, like the breastplate shirt, and waking up next to, like, you know, a really nice fellow who had probably been in jail many times before, had like tattooed teardrop on his eye, and like not being told what the hell was going on, not knowing when you were gonna get out, what you've been charged with, just that you're in jail for an unknown amount of time. I think it was a really interesting, like, there's a lot to be gleaned from that, I think, from that whole experience. And it's kind of too much for this question, I think, in some ways. But one thing is that I definitely believe that, at least in that instance, like in Houston, the jail was not for rehabilitation at all. I mean, I was just amazed being surrounded by people who had been there like 3 to 4 times, you know, like, and it just was like part of the process, and knew what was going to go on, and were comfortable. Maybe they're going to be there for 2 or 3 days, but, you know. And that's just one really big critique that I saw, at least of that specific jail, you know. That's not a very focused answer, but there's just too much.
All right. Well, let me ask you one more thing, and then you guys can go up on stage. And maybe Tyson, can we get the real you for this question? I was going to bring up how you guys first met, because I know it's been debated for years, and I wondered if you wanted to get the story straight.
I don't really remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to let you down, but we were 5, you know. I don't remember the first time, but
I mean, I think mainly that we were in the same carpool before we were actually friends.
yeah,
That's what I remember.
I don't really remember that.
I remember being picked up by this really big Suburban with this, like, tow-headed other boy in the car. And among other friends. But that was, I mean, I think that's when we first met. I don't think we were necessarily friends at that point.
No, I
But
don't think so.
we just were in the carpool together.
Forced into the car together,
Yeah.
and here you are. All right, cool. Thanks for talking.
All right.
Thanks, Andrew.
I guess I'll just keep on until